France, and I mean the mainland instead of one of its overseas islands, has a largely forgotten volcano that I believe the public needs to be made more aware of. This volcano is capable of producing powerful explosions that left enormous craters in the ground, such as this 1620 meter wide and 183 meter deep crater known as Vits du Palmar, which formed only 26,000 years ago. This feature is surprisingly not part of the better-known volcanic system known as Chaîne des Puys, which erupted 8 times in the last 10,000 years. As 150 kilometers to the southeast of Chaîne des Puys is a little-known volcanic field referred to as Bas-Vivarais, which, although currently dormant and containing no active geothermal features, could one day erupt again. Our Homo sapien ancestors directly witnessed at least one of its eruptions occur, as recorded in a cave painting dated to 36,000 years ago that is located within Chauvet Pont d'Arc cave. There, ancient humans went out onto a nearby hillside to observe between 1 and 3 somewhat closely spaced strombolian to phreatomagmatic eruptions occur, which they then recorded via artwork. This painting marks the oldest artwork known of a volcanic eruption. So, what exactly does the Bas-Vivarais volcanic field consist of? Bas-Vivarais consists of 28 monogenetic vents spread across an area of approximately 1900 square kilometers, which consists of maars, cinder cones, and isolated lava flows, presumably from spatter cones. In the last 200,000 years, eruptions have ranged from completely effusive to highly explosive, occurring about once every 7,200 years on average. You might note that all of this field's vents are seemingly aligned along a southeast trend, and this is not a coincidence, as, just like in Chaîne des Puys, the vents of Bas-Vivarais are controlled by passive rifting in the European Cenozoic rift system, more specifically the section of the rift system known as the Massive Central Rift. Rifting in this region waxes and wanes, with magma from an uncertain mantle source only finding its way to the surface through paths of least resistance perpendicular to spreading direction during periods of increased rifting. As a result, eruptions from this field occur along straight lines of activity in clusters where multiple eruptions will occur across a several thousand-year-long time span before becoming completely quiet for thousands if not tens of thousands of years. Since these eruptive episodes are linked to periods of increased rifting which have themselves occurred as much as 65,000 years apart, it would be unwise to call Bas-Vivarais as extinct until at least that much time has passed since its last eruption occurred. The youngest vents in this volcanic field are 2 vents which are each dated to 15,000 years ago. Located south of Lake Creuset, there is both a 700 meter wide and 60 meter deep Maar explosion crater and a highly eroded cinder cone known as the Soil Hull volcano. I suspect that the Maar formed first in an eruptive sequence which went something like this. 15,000 years ago, a body of basanite composition magma began rising through the crust in what is today southeastern France, generating earthquakes along the way. Eventually reaching shallow depths, this body of magma began heating adjacent rocks, which in turn heated underlying groundwater. As the heat continued to increase, the present groundwater flashed to steam. Soon, a large amount of pressure built up due to the fact that the same mass of steam takes up approximately 1,600 times the volume of water it once was. This created such a large amount of pressure that eventually cracked the overlying rock, exploding upwards in a powerful explosive eruption. As a plume of ash rose to a height of 12 kilometers, short-distance pyroclastic flows raced across the landscape, scorching adjacent forests. Then, phreatomagmatic explosions began, where bombs of lava were intermittently ejected from the newly formed crater alongside strong ash emissions. This eruptive phase was short-lived, as magma was subsequently redirected to the south, beginning a 3-day-long strombolian eruption which built a cinder cone. Lava flows emitted during this phase covered 1.2 square kilometers, filling sections of adjacent river valleys. While I would not worry about this field erupting anytime soon, it could suddenly reactivate if a stronger rifting phase begins in the local section of the Cenozoic rift system.